Almost any time you find yourself stuck in some area of your life, or carrying around some kind of chronic stress, or in a persistent conflict with somebody, it is a sign that your mind is getting you in trouble. The world as it is not something that you can perceive directly. Your mind always stands between you and how you make sense of the world. And in making sense of the world, there are two very common misuses of our minds that get us in those kinds of trouble. We oversimplify the world, and we overcomplicate the world. And most of the time, we actually do both simultaneously, a process I call oversimplicating. It's like if you think about making a map of some territory that you want to traverse. Any map has to be relatively simple. You can't have everything in the world on the map. You only represent the roads or the contour lines or some features of the environment. And it's enough to get you from point A to point B. But the map is not the territory. And the territory will always be far more complex than any map that we have of it. If you find yourself lost, looking at your map, trying to figure out what went wrong, you may come up with some very elaborate explanation about why things went wrong. Why things went wrong is that the map was oversimplified, and your explanation is how you make things overcomplicated. Let me give you a few real-life examples. First, we tend to really oversimplify ourselves. Let's imagine, this probably isn't true of you, but imagine you're in a situation where, say, you're not doing a very good job getting the things on your to-do list done. Maybe you're procrastinating a lot. Maybe you can't find the kind of discipline you think you should have to do the kinds of things that you think you should do. And so you decide it must simply be the case that you are lazy. Now, what you've got here is a really oversimplified version of yourself and your life, in which there are simply things that should be done, and you are simply failing to do them, and the reason is that you are simply lazy. And all of those are oversimplified views of your world. As a result, you will try to explain it and figure out what to do about it by overcomplicating things. You might read all kinds of books on productivity and get coaching on it and try all kinds of things to try to get yourself to do the things that you should do that you just can't get yourself to do. And that is adding a layer of complexity to a situation that is oversimplified. It's almost like you're compensating for your lack of understanding by adding in meaning and explanation for things that are really the wrong things. If you could back up and assume that really things are far more subtle and complex in your inner world than you're giving them credit for, you would recognize that it's not about laziness. It's not about not getting things done or what you should do or shouldn't do. Somehow you just find yourself doing some things easily and not doing other things easily. And the reasons for that are actually mysterious. There's a lot more to you than the identity that you try to fit yourself into. And so in actuality, you can't get certain things done and you don't know why. The explanation that you're lazy and then the attempts to add all kinds of structure are overcomplicating things. What would be simpler, but not oversimple, is if you could just recognize the mystery of it. I don't know why I'm not capable of doing certain things, but there must be some good reason. It must actually make sense in the deeper ecology of my being or what my soul needs. Somehow it must be just right, and I just don't understand how yet. That means that I recognize I don't know very much about myself. There are some things that I know, but there's so much that I don't. I can be in the mystery of things. Instead of oversimplifying things, I can recognize there's far more going on than I yet understand, and relating to life that way allows me to keep learning about myself. Instead of thinking I know what's going on, I'm simply lazy and need to learn productivity tools. Another example is that we tend to oversimplify our relationships. Imagine, for instance, that you're in a brand new relationship and it's going just swimmingly well, and you're finding yourself really loving the person, falling in love and wanting to be with them, and then one of you says, wow, something is really significant is happening here. What do we call this? How do we define this? What kind of relationship are we in? Is this a committed relationship? Should it be exclusive? Are we partners? Or what are you? And so you very quickly take an experience that you're having that's dynamic and unpredictable, that's unfolding in some way that's unique. No relationship has ever been like it before. And you're trying to fit it into an oversimplified category, an oversimplified model of there's this kind of relationship and that kind of relationship, and we want to know which one we're in. As soon as you oversimplify it, then you need to explain all kinds of things about why what you're actually experiencing doesn't match your model or your map of the relationship. Like, why is it that I want to spend tonight alone? Or why didn't you call me back that time? What does it mean? And you add layers of meaning and explanation to try to understand your behavior and the other person's behavior, because you're oversimplifying the relationship. You're not allowing it to be the dynamic, unpredictable process that it is. It's just an experience that you're having. You're not even in a relationship. You're just relating. There's no relationship there. There's an ongoing experience of relating, and that experience is mysterious. You can allow it to be mysterious. You can keep learning about it as it's happening, instead of trying to make a map of it that's too simple and then explain why you're lost on that map. As a final example, we oversimplify other people all the time. Other people are just as rich and complex as we are, and yet it's easy to just see them as our oversimplified projections of them. And in particular, this is true whenever you have some kind of difference with somebody that results in a conflict with your kids or with your partner or your coworkers, where there's some persistent conflict because you see things one way, they see things another way. There's a disagreement, and so you behave differently, and so there's conflict. That conflict usually includes some map that you have of the world in which you're right and the other person is wrong, where you have an oversimplified version of why they think the way they think and why you think the way you think, and that map is not getting you anywhere. It's just keeping you in a conflict. As a result, you try to explain all kinds of things about why they do what they do and try to come up with structures for how to deal with the fact that you have a conflict, instead of just acknowledging that you're different and you don't really understand why. It must make sense in some larger, more holistic, more ecological way. It must be right for them to feel as they feel, and for you to feel as you feel, and for there to be a difference. And you can only find out about what to do about that difference if you can be with the not so simple mystery of it all, instead of oversimplifying it and then needing to add all this complexity to compensate for the fact that you are not matching your image of how your negotiation with them should be. In all of these cases, there's some idea that you have about something that doesn't match the thing itself. I think I should be getting things done, and yet I'm not doing those things. I'm getting all kinds of other things done instead. I think I should know what kind of relationship this is, and actually it's not even a relationship. It's just an ongoing series of experiences that you don't understand that much about. I think you should believe the thing that I believe, and yet it's not really even about those beliefs. That person is complex in ways you don't understand, and they need to have the difference with you that they have. In all of these cases, you can appreciate the more complex, subtle version of reality than the oversimplified model or map of it that you have. And it allows you to learn as you go, instead of staying stuck in the thing that you think you know. It's almost like once you discover how little you know, the mystery of the massive amount that you don't know becomes this potential source of learning, where you can discover things that will allow you to see the world in more nuanced ways. That's very different than trying to come up with cheap explanations for why things aren't working, which then just add another layer of complexity and complicatedness to something that has an elegant mystery if you just let it.